Do you remember when Skylar Diggins intentionally bumped into Caitlin Clark and went viral? That was just a glimpse of how stupidly she behaved in that game. She was trying to provoke Caitlin Clark throughout the game.
I'm here to tell you, I have a Skylar Diggins Smith of her actually targeting Caitlin Clark, applying major pressure. I'm telling you right now, Caitlin Clark sent her through the ringer, dog.
And now the fans have completely exposed her by digging into these clips that I will show you in this video. Right from the very beginning, Diggins was finding it difficult to catch Caitlin Clark's game, which is why I switched to her wild antics. But let me show you how Caitlin successfully destroyed her hater. Did you catch her reaction? Judging from her face, Diggins must have been thinking why screens like this are allowed in the game. They should be banned. But what she thinks doesn't really matter. Caitlin Clark once ruptured her ear because of a screen, but she didn't complain. Diggins was seriously upset by Clark's ability, and she thought of using dirty tactics against her. That's why she started getting physical and went after Clark's hands instead of the ball. But this too backfired on her. Caitlin was just the better player, both physically and skill-wise. Clark just tossed her aside like a Diggins was a kid. Diggins must have been having a very bad day. Or maybe it was a bad season, because her behavior in that game was the kind of thing you'd expect from a middle schooler being mad after losing a recess game. Just look at her. She looks visibly frustrated as she appeals for travel. She is getting desperate. Diggins is frantic for any opening now, and we can clearly see that she is getting badly outplayed by Caitlin Clark. She must be getting depressed by her performance. By now, she has already realized that Caitlin can't be beaten in a fair game. She had even tried unfair means, but to no avail. This is the exact point where she makes up her mind about the shoulder bump. The Indiana Fever, led by Caitlin Clark, was absolutely destroying the Seattle Storm that day. Clark was on fire, lighting up the court and electrifying the crowd. And Skylar, well, she was busy getting cooked by Caitlin Clark, and as a result, she took to throwing what can only be described as a tantrum-fueled shoulder bump.
You think that was an accident, Ocho?
Hold on.
That ain't no accident. She sped up.
Yeah, she sped up real quick. Hey, man, you know she...
As the game neared its end, Skylar made her way to the sideline with all the grace of a stampeding rhinoceros and delivered a shoulder bump to Caitlin Clark.
In a shocking display, Skylar Diggins' actions during their crushing defeat to the Indiana Fever only confirmed the growing resentment toward Caitlin and the spotlight she commands. Watch as Skylar purposefully charges toward Caitlin, delivering a brazen shove. The real question is, why? Caitlin's nightly domination is too much to bear.
It was not a full-on WWE-style takedown. Oh no, she wasn't bold enough for that. But it was just enough to make her irritation crystal clear. It was the pettiest, most passive-aggressive move you could imagine. At that time, she barely acknowledged it. The bump might as well have been like a mosquito buzzing past her ear.
Y'all see the woman speed up. Y'all see her, Caitlin Clark is getting the crowd. Y'all see Skylar Diggins speed up to make contact with her. Stop this. Y'all mad cause that corn-fed Iowa girl busting y'all ass. Y'all said she too weak. She can't do this. She lead the WNBA in assists.
While Clark did not react spontaneously, the tension was steadily rising, and then it completely boiled over after this shoulder bump incident. Can you believe this? Diggins was blinded by her hatred so much that she ignored all the rules and ethics of the game. But most importantly, she forgot who she was dealing with. The Rookie of the Year.
A Storm player shouldered Caitlin Clark, leading to her being held back by teammates. Caitlin Clark had yet another record-breaking game, setting the WNBA record for most assists in a rookie season. However, Clark also found herself in the center of heated controversies.
Caitlin had just broken the records for the most assists in the game, and Skylar was just not happy about it. Skylar aroused Clark and probably hoped for a reaction, or some sign that she'd gotten under Clark's skin. Instead, she was met with the ultimate insult. Don't cry.
Things got heated once the game was closing out, with the Fever well ahead. Clark was pumping up the home crowd when Skylar Diggins went out of her way to give Clark a little shove. The two teams' head coaches then got into a spirited conversation with the Storm. Reportedly angry, the Fever kept their starters in with the game in hand. Clark was seen on the sideline being held back by teammates jawing to the visibly upset Storm bench yelling, "Stop crying."
While Clark generally keeps her cool, her focus, and her poise, this time she was completely transformed. Clark did not hold back and did something so good that it felt like pouring salt into Skylar's already wounded ego. And when Skylar and her teammates started bickering with the refs over a call in the final seconds, Clark delivered the cherry on top with a sharp clapback. "Stop crying!" Oh, the audacity. The crowd went completely crazy and fans erupted into laughter, turning it into one of the most memorable moments of her entire season. Skylar, on the other hand, she was burnt to a crisp.
Man, well, whatever the case may be, there's something going on in Seattle with their players actually targeting players and pretty much getting aggressive, dog. As this investigation I will continue to bring you guys up to date information.
What pushed Caitlin Clark to clap back this time? Because let's be real, we all know that Clark is the epitome of coolness and staying professional. She doesn't let petty things get to her head easily and keeps her cool. But this time around, she didn't forgive and didn't forget.
If you recall, Caitlin Clark told the Storm to stop crying, had enough. They're whining after the fever got the best of them. Let them know that it was enough. No more whining, no more crying, no more complaining. Stop crying! And that's since become an iconic moment, right?
Judging by her response, we can all expect that Diggins must have done something extremely disrespectful to Clark, and she did exactly that. Here's the thing. Skylar's antics didn't just reveal her own insecurities, it also exposed the WNBA's broader issue with Caitlin Clark. For some inexplicable reason, the league and some of its established stars seem allergic to fully embracing Clark's meteoric rise. It's as if they see her success as a zero-sum game, as though her ascension somehow diminishes their legacy.
Coach Quinn knew full well what was going on, effectively stopping Clark from getting the double-double by pulling her team with 90 seconds left. The Seattle coach was unhappy that Sides, who's the head coach of the didn't immediately substitute at the exact same time. And then, take a look at the video, Skylar Diggins Smith did this.
Let's be real, Caitlin Clark is not stealing anyone's thunder. She's the lightning, the storm, the whole atmospheric event. The fact that some players and league insiders treat her like an unwelcome guest rather than the future of women's basketball is baffling. And Skylar's shoulder bump was the physical manifestation of that baffling resentment. It's hard not to wonder if Skylar's antics were born out of desperation. She could be considered a talented player, but Caitlin's rise has shifted the balance. Skylar, once a beacon of WNBA star power, now finds herself overshadowed by the younger, flashier, and arguably more marketable Clark. And that's where the real issue lies. Skylar's actions weren't just about one bad game or one frustrating loss. They were about the shift in dynamics that Clark represents, a shift that some players clearly find hard to accept. Caitlin isn't just playing basketball, she's redefining the game and the league.
No more complaining. Stop crying! And that's since become an iconic moment, right? And we saw what happened with Christy Sides and Quinn after that game. And it was one of the, certainly, of the Indiana Fever season. It came after Clark was celebrating on the court and Skylar Diggins Smith bumped into her. And, you know, all chaos ensued from that moment on.
Let's not pretend this was an isolated incident. Skylar's antics that night weren't just a moment of frustration. They were a full-blown meltdown masked as competitiveness. Watching her sulk and lash out at Caitlin felt like watching an older sibling realize the youngest of the family was now the star of family gatherings. Skylar wasn't just mad at losing the game. She was mad at losing the whole narrative. And let's be honest, Caitlin Clark is everything the WNBA needs right now. Young, dynamic, magnetic, and capable of drawing new fans to the game in droves. And Skylar, She is somewhat decent herself, but watching her try to steal the spotlight from Clark was like watching someone try to light a candle while a bonfire rages beside them. No matter how hard she tries playing below the belt, Diggins cannot, and I mean cannot, come close to the quality of Caitlin Clark. Let's be honest, these cheap tricks and tactics may rattle mediocre athletes, but elite players don't lose their sweat on such things.
Really not a big deal in the grand scheme of things. And I think if you're a Fever fan, you had to revel in that moment, except for Christy Sides, who apparently didn't like it for some reason. But guess what? She's not a part of Fever.
Skylar's salty bump and the ensuing drama are just a symptom of a larger problem. Instead of rallying behind Clark and leveraging her star power to elevate the league, the WNBA seems content to let petty rivalries and internal politics dominate the narrative. It's a classic case of cutting off your nose to spite your face. Can you imagine if veterans like Skylar use their platform to mentor and uplift instead of throwing shoulder checks and tantrums? The WNBA has a golden opportunity with Clark, a player who can draw new fans, expand the league's reach, and inspire the next generation of athletes. But instead, moments like this one threaten to overshadow all that potential.
Ain't no need to
But I'm just trying to. But Ocho, let me ask you this. I just saw Asia.
Yeah.
Ain't nobody walking into bumping into her. When
Ain't
she
nobody
cooking.
finna bump an Asia. Asia don't play that. Come on now. You know,
They ain't bumping into Stewie.
but you know who.
My thing,
you
what
know
if
who to
I'm
play
Caitlin
with,
Clark,
you know who not to.
if I'm Caitlin Clark, I'd
Yeah.
have told Skylar Diggins, get your coat, your brim, and get on out of our gym. Get your coat, your hat,
Real,
and leave.
get on out.
What makes all this even more impressive is how Clark handled herself. She didn't retaliate, didn't escalate the drama. She just let her game and her words do the talking. Her ability to stay composed under pressure, both on and off the court, is part of what makes her such a transformative figure. If Skylar thought her antics would rattle Caitlin, she was sorely mistaken. Instead, she gave Clark yet another opportunity to showcase why she's not just the future of the WNBA, but the present. Skylar Diggins Smith's frustration is understandable. Losing to a younger, buzzier player is never easy, but her actions in that game were a reminder that greatness isn't just about skill, it's about character. Caitlin Clark has both in spades, and that's why she's winning games, fans, and the future. Skylar, on the other hand, might want to take a deep breath, watch some game tape, and figure out how to handle the changing tides with a bit more grace. Because let's face it, the Caitlin Clark era is here, and no amount of shoulder bumps is going to stop it. I am not saying that I want her to be attacked by other players, but the WNBA hasn't really taken any action against these bullies. Does the WNBA really hate Caitlin Clark? WNBA must be going nuts because they don't want their players to get distracted by other sports. Well, Caitlin has already stepped into golf and now soccer. Let's see what happens next. Do let us know your opinion in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to never miss an update. Thanks for watching.